Today, we're going to be looking at some fantasy football trade values for Dynasty leagues. We're going to be looking at Audric Estime. We're going to be looking at Blake Corum. We're going to be looking at Jonathon Brooks. We're going to be looking at the trade values, where they're valuing them at an ADP, and what to do with them going forward, trying to time the market, and what their values will look like in the future. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're helping you set your lineups with the must start video, which will roll out today. Just ask your questions in the comment section. Watch the video. I talk about all the games for week 11, and every Saturday I roll that video out. On top of that, we do deep dives on all the players with the You Need series. That is a deep dive series, so you can get the advanced analytics on all those players. And on top of that, we go deep on the waiver wire. We go deep on drafts. We go deep on high school recruiting. Click that button. Stop missing out. Everything's here and it's free. But Audric Estime is the hot commodity going into week 11. What are we looking at with Audric Estime here? We're looking at a running back here that is trending. We got the steak in the pan and the oil's bubbling up. You're starting to get that sear. It's starting to get a little crispy, and we're wondering if this is going to cook because we're starting to get there. Javonte Williams only has 8 carries for 10 plus yards on the season, and he has a ton more carries than Audric Estime right now, and Audric Estime is catching him with 5, and he only has 29 carries on the season. Now, Audric Estime is not the fastest running back, but when it comes to size and just athleticism, he's got good wiggle. He's very light on his feet, good vision, good patience, a lunch pail running back who can really turn it up in chunk yards. Maybe not a home run threat, but that power and that maneuverability is what the Broncos like, and he's looking very good when on the field. Last week, it was against the Chiefs, one of the toughest defenses against running backs and top-tier wide receivers. So not the best sample, but we were able to turn out some yards against them. But the market's hot for him right now. It's shot up. It looks like Bitcoin right now. Audric Estime is Bitcoin right now after the election. That's what Audric Estime is. Audric Estime is Bitcoin right now, just shooting up. Dynasty gamers are wondering what's going to happen with him. They're wondering what's he going to be doing on the field. And people are at a stalemate. Some people are looking to sell him at a high right now because the value went up. Some people are looking at that. But the liquidity right now in the market is really going to go one way or the other these next couple of games here. But we're looking at the values right now. And he's up there now with the top handcuffed running backs from the 2024 NFL draft class. That's what we're really seeing this. Ray Davis, Blake Corum, Braylon Allen. Up there with Zach Charbonnet if you want to look at a little veteran there. Usurping Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams is dropping in value. He is tanking. We're also seeing that in season-long rankings and redraft. Audric Estime. Adjacent players like a Wan'Dale Robinson. Like a Christian Watson. We already know what those wide receivers are. They're great to play with in your lineups off and on. But you can definitely say those two wide receivers are never going to win your league. And you're looking at a running back right now who's starting to trend up. But from a basket approach, I ripped my arm bracelet off while I was talking. That's why it's in my hand. But from a basket approach of commodities, he is in that commodity of handcuff running backs that fantasy gamers, Dynasty, and Redraft are paying attention to right now. And they're wondering when that twig is going to snap on the starter. And it looks like it's starting to snap here with the starters with the Broncos. And his value is shooting up. It just shot from here to with those top commodities of handcuffs. Can we climb even further? That's what we're looking at going forward. At Notre Dame, we were highly productive. 1,300 yards, 18 touchdowns. A lot of missed tackles forced. 38 carries at 10 plus yards last year. One of the top running backs in those numbers. Year prior, 30. Not the fastest running back, but you don't have to be the fastest running back to turn out chunk yards, and that's what the running back position is, turning out chunk yards. He can also hit 20 plus miles per hour. Once he builds up that speed, he can definitely do that. Less likely, but the wiggle, vision, power, all that combined is something you're not going to get from a lot of running backs. And for the upside, what you're seeing here on the short term is something that you're looking at very heavy. When you're looking at him coming out for the draft. That 4.71 40-yard dash was stank on the draft profile, and it hit on the draft capital. If he ran like a 4.65, 4.62, something like that, we knew from the tape he wasn't going to blaze the track. That's just obvious. But we fell to the 5th round. We go to the Broncos. That's a great discount for him because that is a very good running back prospect. And now we got a deep running back class now, so you can probably find a good satellite back to pair with them, probably around the same range of the draft next year, and be very good and very steady with your offense while you're still building things out. So they caught a good running back at a good price in a bad running back class. That's not a great running back class of what we saw in 2024. It was okay, I guess. I guess bad was a little bit too much, but it wasn't great. I wouldn't really even consider it good. But Audric Estime is a good running back at a good price that they found in a not-so-great running back class, which is great for the Denver Broncos. We have not hit in production yet. The value just jumped up. That is how the market judges young running backs. They go over the moon because of the projection total for that. There's one thing you may want to look at with a running back like this when you're looking at their draft capital when they're drafted in day 3, round 4, 5, 6, 7, undrafted free agent. Once their value hits a certain point, fringe first round rookie pick, high-end second round rookie pick, the process there is to usually flip that player like a Dameon Pierce because the odds of a day 3 pick holding their value is not very good. You'll see some ancillary day 3 guys hold it for a bit, but the odds of them holding it long term is not as great. That's a process that a lot of people look at. That is something you may want to strongly consider. What I usually say when a player changes in value drastically, up here or even down here, always kick the tires. Because when people talk about that, they're talking about a macro standpoint there in the markets, and they're just trying to talk process. But when you go to your own individual league, it's not going to fit every single time. But if you don't kick the tires, sometimes that magical deal will never come your way. Off to Blake Corum now, and Blake Corum is a hot commodity in fantasy football right now because he's one of the hot handcuffed running backs. Kyren Williams is getting a lot of work. If he goes down, Blake Corum's the next man up. 3rd round pick, highly productive out of Michigan. His stock is tanking. He was valued a lot higher going into the season and in the early part of the 2024 NFL season. But he hasn't been getting work. He hasn't been getting snaps. He hasn't been getting opportunities. But Kyren Williams has been getting a lot of work. Probably way too much work than he should be. But at the price now, probably where it should have been to begin with. Rookie running back, playing behind a very good veteran running back. Might need some time to get established. The Rams don't really insert the rookies like crazy into the offense. Usually there's a ramp-up time there. So the value kind of did jump the shark a little bit early September, right before the season started. But now we're looking at RB39, a little bit better price points. But we're still at that price point of where it was at in rookie drafts. That's about the same thing in rookie pick value. And really, he's kind of a hold for a lot of people. Same thing as Audric Estime. We're still in that boat because all it takes is the starter going down and we're shooting to the moon. And that's really what Dynasty gamers are doing right now. They're holding Blake Corum and they're waiting to see what happens and they're shooting to the moon. However, if you want to get in on this stock, it's best to do it as soon as possible because people are going to start looking back at this team, look at Kyren Williams' touches, trying to project out to 2025 and 2026, and his price is going to go up a little bit. That's what the market's going to do. I've seen this a million times. These younger players, their market value will increase a little bit. When their market dumps, that's a good indicator to get out of that player. His value's not going to dump from what we're seeing on the field. He's not looking horrible. And then on top of that, when we're looking at Kyren Williams, he's been getting a lot of workload. But we were very productive out of Michigan. 1,400 yards as a junior. 18 touchdowns. Good yards after contact per attempt. 73 missed tackles forced in 2022. Remember, at the end of 2022, we got that knee injury, and we had to come back for 2023. We would have been in that 2023 draft class if it weren't for that. Instead, we had to come out in 2024. We had to ramp up in 2023. We were not really healthy or back to our old ways until the end of the year back end of the season, we get drafted in the 3rd round by the Rams. That's good draft capital for a running back that already has a starting running back. That's something to focus on. On top of that, 27 reps on the bench press. This guy's stocky. He's built 5'8", 4.53 40-yard dash. Nothing over the top when it comes to athleticism. Nothing really over the top or outstanding or top tier, top level when it comes to anything in his prospect profile. But the one thing that is over the top is he's good at everything. Pass blocking, catching the ball in the backfield, running between the tackles, stretching it to the outside. He can do everything. You can make the case that a lot of running backs can do that, but not to that degree. He's a lunch pail running back that really fits what Sean McVay likes out of his players. He's very dependable. Kyren Williams on the season is running almost 60 snaps per game. He's running all the routes. He's getting all the carries. He's pass blocking on every pass blocking rep almost. He's getting all the work. He's shooting Blake Corum out. And that is going to impact the long term on him, whether it's this year, next year, year after. So that's another indicator to get in on Blake Corum just in case that slows him down. Because realistically, you're getting like a season and a half out of his 2024 season with all this workload. Even though it's not all touches, pass blocking snaps are collisions. Running routes is still stress on the body, and they're not giving him the meat shield to keep him fresh. And this could be like 2026. However, this stock right now, RB39, RB40 price tag, is a good one to buy into, but I don't think it's 100% liquid because I know what I got on my roster if I have Blake Corum, and I'm not selling for peanuts or on the low. Blake Corum has not been productive. That is why the stock market's like, we don't want this. He's not on the field. He's not getting enough snaps. However, when the starter goes down, things are going to be different, and you're going to see that chart skyrocket up, just like Audric Estime. Jonathon Brooks is a different case. He was holding a lot of value going into the 2024 season, holding a lot of value. A lot of people looking up to Jonathon Brooks as the savior for the back end of their season. Things are getting stretched out a little bit more. Hopefully, we're back week 12, 13. Going forward, seeing some touches, seeing some reps. But his stock has taken a little bit of a hit. He is up there as like the RB9 at the highest. As like the highest on keep trade cut in ADP. People buying in early. The young 2nd round pick. You don't get that many 2nd round running backs anymore. The fact that he got drafted in the 2nd round with an ACL injury is very telling. But we're starting to drop in value. So you're at least getting a discount, but it's going to be still expensive to get Jonathon Brooks because everybody who has Jonathon Brooks knows what they got. Bucky Irving jumping in value at RB20. Similar value. That's what that saying is as a gauge. Chase Brown, Alvin Kamara, Tyrone Tracy, George Kittle, a late first. The thing about Jonathon Brooks is once you get in the 2nd round of rookie drafts, even though there's going to be good talent in 2025, it gets a little dark still and always does in deeper classes. It's still harder to project due to NIL, and players can stay an extra year and still get paid. Jonathon Brooks, I'm not dealing him away for a 2nd round pick. That's just not likely. Late first, I might just hold because there's been a lot of years that late first, the players in that area, in that range, hasn't been that great. And I knew this going in when I got him. I knew this was in the range of outcomes. If you draft him not knowing this, then that was on you. But I knew this range of outcomes, and I'm not playing redraft for my Dynasty stock. Or don't draft him at all. But Jonathon Brooks is still up there with value when it comes to adjacent players. Higher than Brian Robinson. I would make the case that Jonathon Brooks has more upside, more top tier potential than Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson's more steady week to week. Jonathon Brooks better catching passes out of the backfield. Even with him sharing the backfield with Chuba Hubbard, we were productive last year out of Texas with 10 touchdowns, deployed in the passing game, 3.91 yards after contact per attempt, 63 missed tackles forced. Would have had a lot more on that if we didn't get hurt. And we got drafted in the 2nd round despite of the injury. That's another good indicator. We had good size adjusted athleticism. Tape checks out. We're just waiting to see what he does on the field. Chuba Hubbard, though, everybody's worried about him, and you should be worried about him to some extent. You should be to some extent. But why shouldn't you? Because teams are trying to get 2 good running backs. They're trying to copy what Detroit is doing. They got Chuba Hubbard. He's playing well. He deserves the money. He deserves the opportunity. But this team is struggling at quarterback. They got to rebuild that wide receiver depth chart. It's not like they got Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens up there. They got to really rebuild that. 2 running backs that are cooking is really going to help this team. Chuba Hubbard's cooking, and it's not carrying them enough to win a lot of games, even though the piss poor play. So another running back to spell him when he's out as a meat shield, probably something that the Rams should be doing, is actually a good thing. Because Chuba Hubbard here has a lot of upside, and I can see both of them sharing carries. And the thing about this is Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is going to be gone. Miles Sanders has an out on his contract after the season. Miles Sanders is running about 11 to 12 routes per game. He's getting good opportunity, which they're smart. They're not running Chuba Hubbard into the ground. That's why you're seeing his numbers not tailing off. But that work rate with Jonathan Brooks coming back from an ACL after a banged up Miles Sanders, that's enough for him to show you enough. That's enough for him to give you a little bit of production. Maybe not 20 points per game or 16.6 from what you're getting from Chuba, but splash games here and there, and that's enough to increase the price. It's not Jonathan Brooks versus Chuba Hubbard. It's Jonathan Brooks versus Miles Sanders, plus what more we can scrape from that. And these 2 running backs being a good tandem going forward. You can definitely use Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and both these running backs have the talent to do so for your fantasy team. But when you buy into Jonathan Brooks, you still got to pay up. He's not liquid on the market. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.